While his role was originally more circumscribed, later theological developments under Seleucid rule expanded Anu's influence to encompass the entire firmament. Despite his prominence, Anu's iconography is notably absent from Mesopotamian artwork, with no. In alternative accounts, his consort is the goddess Namu. Additionally, ancestral figures such as Anshar or Alala are frequently listed alongside his spouses and children, forming the basis of genealogical narratives such as the Enuma Elish, Anu's appearance ancestor to many deities in ancient Mesopotamian religion. Anu was perceived as the source of both divine and human kingship, symbolizing heavenly authority and legitimacy. Although his role was predominantly passive, Anu's significance was undeniable. Anu summoning the mortal hero Adapa, offering him the chance for immortality, which Adapa ultimately rejects. In Hurrian myths, Anu is depicted as a former ruler of the gods, overthrown by Kumarbi, resulting in the birth of Teshub, the weather god.
The notion that ancient Sumerians were aliens and that the Anunnaki were scientists creating hybrids who have been present on Earth for millennia is a fascinating and provocative concept that has captured the imaginations of many. According to this hypothesis, the Anunnaki, a race of extraterrestrial beings mentioned in Sumerian texts, arrived on Earth in ancient times and played a pivotal role in shaping human civilization. The Sumerians, often considered one of the world's earliest civilizations, left behind a wealth of texts and artifacts that hint at advanced knowledge and technology beyond their time. Proponents of the ancient Sumerians being aliens argue that their achievements, such as the development of writing, mathematics, and astronomy, could not have been accomplished without outside influence. Central to this narrative is the idea that the Anunnaki genetically engineered humans to serve as a labor force, perhaps for purposes such as mining gold or other resources. This echoes stories from Sumerian mythology, such as the creation of humans from clay and divine blood by the gods. The connection between the Anunnaki and other mythological beings, such as reptilians or serpent-like creatures, is also a significant aspect of this hypothesis. Some believe that the Anunnaki may have been associated with reptilian beings, often depicted as serpent-like entities in various mythologies around the world. For example, the Naga in Indian mythology and similar serpent beings in other cultures are seen as potential manifestations of the Anunnaki or other alien beings. Furthermore, proponents of this theory often tie the Illuminati, a purported secret society believed by some to control world events, into the narrative. According to some interpretations, the Illuminati are descendants or collaborators of the Anunnaki, wielding power and influence over human affairs for centuries. While this hypothesis remains speculative and controversial, it offers a thought-provoking lens through which to re-examine ancient history and mythology. By exploring the possibility of extraterrestrial influence on human civilization, it challenges conventional narratives and encourages us to reconsider our understanding of the past. In conclusion, the idea that ancient Sumerians were aliens and that the Anunnaki were scientists creating hybrids opens up a vast realm of possibilities and questions about the origins of humanity and our place in the cosmos. While it may stretch the boundaries of conventional scholarship, it invites us to explore the mysteries of our ancient past with curiosity and imagination. Please subscribe if you enjoyed our video and don't forget to hit the bell icon for future episodes. Enlil, also known as Elil, stands as a prominent figure in ancient Mesopotamian mythology, deeply intertwined with the concept of ancient aliens, associated with wind, air, earth, and storms. Enlil is revered as the chief deity of the Sumerian pantheon, worshipped by various civilizations including the Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians, and Hurrians. His significance is underscored by his primary center of worship, the Ikur temple in Nippur, believed to have been constructed by Enlil himself. This sacred site was considered the mooring rope of heaven and earth, emphasizing Enlil's celestial authority. Referred to as Nunamnir in Sumerian texts, Enlil's divine presence was so potent that even other gods could not gaze upon him directly. Enlil's prominence soared during the 24th century BC, alongside the rise of Nippur. His pivotal role in Sumerian creation myths accentuates his cosmic influence. He is credited with separating heaven from earth, rendering the world hospitable for humanity. In mythological narratives like the Sumerian and Babylonian flood stories, Enlil's actions shape the fate of humanity. In one instance, he rewards Ziusudra with immortality for surviving the flood, while in another he instigates the flood to punish humanity for their noise, preventing him from resting. The myth of Enlil and Ninlil delves into his complex relationships with other deities, showcasing his serial seduction of the goddess Ninlil, resulting in the birth of significant divine figures. As the inventor of the mattock and patron of agriculture, Enlil symbolizes fertility and abundance, essential elements in ancient societies' livelihoods. Furthermore, Enlil features prominently in myths involving his son Ninurta, illustrating his familial and mythological connections. His role in myths such as Anzu and the Tablet of Destinies underscores his authority over divine matters and cosmic order. Despite his revered status, Enlil's cult eventually waned following the sack of Nippur by the Elamites in 1230 BC, leading to his eventual displacement by the Babylonian national god Marduk. Nevertheless, Enlil's legacy endures as a testament to the profound impact of ancient alien beliefs on Mesopotamian civilization. Unveiling the Anunnaki, exploring the ancient alien connection. In the realm of ancient astronaut theories, the Anunnaki stand out as a compelling enigma, sparking intrigue and speculation about their possible role as ancient alien visitors to Earth. This exploration delves into the fascinating narrative surrounding the Anunnaki, examining the evidence and theories that suggest a profound connection between these ancient beings and humanity's ancient past. The Anunnaki are believed to be a group of deities mentioned in ancient Mesopotamian texts, particularly those from Sumeria, one of the world's oldest known civilizations. These texts describe the Anunnaki as powerful beings who descended from the heavens to Earth, wielding advanced knowledge and technology far beyond the understanding of the ancient Sumerians. One of the central tenets of the Anunnaki hypothesis is the idea that these beings played a pivotal role in shaping human civilization. According to proponents of this theory, the Anunnaki genetically engineered humans as a labor force to mine gold and other resources, spurring the development of civilization in Mesopotamia and beyond. This notion is often linked to interpretations of Sumerian creation myths, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, which contain references to gods creating humans from clay and divine blood. Furthermore, the Anunnaki are sometimes associated with ancient astronaut theories, which propose that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth in ancient times and influenced human culture and development. Proponents of this idea point to similarities between ancient Sumerian depictions of gods and modern descriptions of aliens, as well as references to advanced technology and space travel in Sumerian texts. The hypothesis of an ancient alien connection to the Anunnaki raises profound questions about the origins of humanity and the nature of our relationship with the cosmos. If the Anunnaki were indeed ancient astronauts, what was their purpose in visiting Earth? What knowledge did they impart to early humans, and how did their influence shape the course of human history? Critics of the Anunnaki hypothesis caution against interpreting ancient texts too literally, and argue that these stories should be understood within their cultural and religious contexts. They suggest that the Anunnaki may have been mythological figures or symbolic representations of natural forces rather than literal extraterrestrial beings. Despite the skepticism surrounding the Anunnaki hypothesis, the idea continues to captivate the imagination of researchers, enthusiasts, and conspiracy theorists alike. The exploration of this ancient alien connection offers a fascinating lens through which to view the mysteries of human history, inviting further investigation and speculation into the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement in shaping the course of a civilization on Earth.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Rough Theory from Dark Theory Inc. So I was looking at the statistics that they have on the news, and they're saying that they're at 900 plus deaths, and it's speeding up. It's getting stronger, and that they're over 50 or 40,000 people infected. Now, I would times that by 10 just to be on the safe side, because they're only talking about the most severe cases that come in and they can actually account for. So there's many that are unaccounted for, and that's the sad part. They're not really telling us the truth here. Again, I'm going to stick to the idea that the only way for that virus to actually jump from species to species is they have to have something that on a genetic level was programmed to do so. On the other thing is that it had to have had some kind of host that kind of mediated that, became a conduit for that. That would be a hybrid, as I said before, between an animal or a human. And most likely, when I say that the Anunnaki returned, the Anunnaki and the Naga, these are ancient ideas. They've been passed through cuneiform by Zachariah Sitchin, who translated all these cuneiform from the ancient Sumerian texts in Iraq, ancient Iraq. Now, if you look at that, in India, the Naga, they're also reptilian beings, just like the Anunnaki. And you have to put two and two together, man. We have this all over the world. I know David Icke is talking about this stuff, but he speaks from one perspective. I talk about it from really looking directly at the evidence that we have through history. If you look at it, they were already doing genetic manipulation all the way back in the ancient Sumerian times when they came here to mine gold. They needed to have slaves to be able to do the work, so they took some of the DNA of some of the earthly creatures and mixed it with their own DNA. And if they were able to do that, and being much older than us, they must have had the ability to program every little part of us. Even the duration of our lives would be programmed within our genetics. Now, they may be right. If we could figure out the genetic codes or how to stop the timer on our longevity in the genes, we may be able to actually live a lot longer if they can stretch that time out. Then again, even get rid of it altogether, and then you may be immortal. Who knows? These are just speculations that you can do, but the whole idea, there's so many different scenarios that you can look at. One, this could have been a prepper. The global community or the elites could have put this out there into the public to see how we would deal with something like this if it was really to be a pandemic where people just started dying off in the millions. This could be something like that, or there could be slowly introducing it to a new species. And one of the new ways to do it is to get us to, intermix with it somehow unknowingly. There's many different scenarios that we can look at here. These are just a few speculations that I have. So guys, if you want, you can check out my website. It's darktheoryinc.com. I have a lot of cool stuff there, and a lot of comic books and all kinds of toys and weird stuff on that site. So go to darktheoryinc, that's inc.com, darktheoryinc.com, and you'll see all my stuff there. If you like this, please hit the like button, share it with all your friends, and definitely subscribe if you like it. You'll be getting a lot more videos, and I promise you some animations coming up soon, guys. So I'll get some more of my wacky, funny side to this whole thing, because I like to have a sense of humor. Remember, it's art and humor with insight, so I like to, have a lot of fun, but also, get a little message across in it. So I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day, and keep yourself speculating, open your minds, really research inside out. The truth is out there, but it's also in the air.
The topic of ancient Anunnaki aliens and their potential genetic manipulation of humankind has captured imaginations for decades, with recent rumors about a large object detected by the James Webb Space Telescope reigniting interest. Although official sources have not confirmed the existence of a mothership heading towards Earth, the narrative has been circulating widely on social media, amplified by UFO enthusiasts and speculative podcasts. Historically, the Anunnaki are considered by some alternative historians to be extraterrestrial beings mentioned in ancient Mesopotamian texts. The theory suggests that these beings genetically modified early humans, possibly creating Homo sapiens as a labor force or to serve other enigmatic purposes. The notion ties into the belief that advanced alien civilizations may have intervened in Earth's development, aligning with the popular ancient astronaut theory, which posits that early gods and prophets, such as Jesus, Yeshua, might have been extraterrestrial visitors. The idea that Jesus could have been an alien returning after 2,000 years connects with the concept of relativistic space travel. What seems like 2 millennia on Earth might only be a brief journey for beings using faster-than-light propulsion. This concept blends modern physics with metaphysical speculation, suggesting that religious events, including the concept of heaven, could be interpreted as interactions with alien spacecraft. Although the claim of a mothership detected by the James Webb Telescope lacks credible scientific backing, the Pentagon and certain scientists like Avi Loeb have entertained the idea that alien craft might be present in the solar system. Loeb has discussed how such an extraterrestrial object could send tiny probes, similar to NASA's exploration strategies, into planetary atmospheres, though the mothership itself may not even carry live beings anymore, given the potential timescales involved. While the rumor about an incoming mothership remains unsubstantiated, it serves as a fascinating springboard for discussions about humanity's origins, future, and the possibility that religious narratives might hold extraterrestrial truths. However, it's crucial to separate speculation from confirmed facts, as official space agencies and scientific institutions have yet to verify such sightings or contact with extraterrestrial life forms. This remains a space for open imagination and cautious scientific inquiry. If you're enjoying our videos and want to see more, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support not only fuels our creativity, but also signals the algorithm to share our content with more viewers like you. Every interaction counts. Your engagement is what keeps us growing and able to deliver even better content. We rely on your loyalty to stay strong, thrive, and continue bringing you the videos you love. Thank you for being part of this journey.
Another myth portrays Anu summoning the mortal hero Adapa, offering him the chance for immortality, which Adapa ultimately rejects. In Hurrian myths, Anu is depicted as a former ruler of the gods, overthrown by Kamabi, resulting in the birth of Teshub, the
Central to this narrative is the idea that the Anunnaki genetically engineered humans to serve as a labor force, perhaps for purposes such as mining gold or other resources. This echoes stories from Sumerian mythology, such as the creation of humans. Hypothesis: the Anunnaki, a race of extraterrestrial beings mentioned in Sumerian texts, arrived on Earth in ancient times and played a pivotal role in shaping human civilization. The Sumerians, often considered one of the world's earliest civilizations,
tales are sparse but impactful. In the Akkadian epic of Gilgamesh, he's depicted as a fatherly figure to Ishtar, Inanna, who persuades him to grant her the Bull of Heaven. Another myth portrays Anu summoning the mortal hero Adapa, offering him the chance for immortality.
Because all aliens, regardless benevolent or otherwise, they're carrying germs and diseases and bacterium in and on them that are deadly to us. If I were making policy, I'd quarantine them all.
Many ancient cultures revered serpents and snakes, attributing to them meanings such as fertility, rebirth, healing, protection, wisdom, and the duality of creation and destruction. Across civilizations, serpents were seen as intermediaries between the human and divine realms, embodying life cycles and transformation. In ancient Egypt, serpents like Wadjet, the cobra goddess of protection and fertility, and Apep, the serpent of chaos opposing the sun god Ra, symbolized divine authority and royal protection, with cobras adorning pharaohs' crowns as the uraeus. Mesopotamian cultures, including the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Assyrians, worshipped Ningishzida, a god of vegetation, fertility, and the underworld, where serpents were linked to immortality and healing. In ancient Greece, serpents signified wisdom and renewal, exemplified by Asclepius, the god of medicine, whose serpent-entwined staff became a symbol of healing, and Python, the guardian of the oracle at Delphi. In Hindu and Indian traditions, Nagas, semi-divine beings with human and serpent features, were connected to water, treasure, and spiritual power, with Shesha, the cosmic serpent, supporting Vishnu, and Kundalini representing spiritual awakening. In Chinese and East Asian cultures, the serpent or dragon symbolized wisdom, power, longevity, and harmony, with Nuwa, the half-serpent creator goddess, playing a key role in creation myths. Mesoamerican cultures, like the Maya and Aztec, revered feathered serpents such as Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan, embodying the duality of earth and sky, as well as wisdom and fertility. In indigenous African cultures, Dambala, a serpent deity in Vodun, was associated with cosmic forces, fertility, and transformation, representing the connection between the physical and spiritual realms. Celtic and European pagan traditions saw serpents as sacred symbols of wisdom, healing, and the cycles of life and death, closely linked to earth energies and druidic rituals. Aboriginal Australian mythology speaks of the rainbow serpent, a creator god associated with water, fertility, and the landscape, embodying both creation and chaos. Native American cultures also honored serpents, with some traditions, such as the Hopi snake dance, invoking rain and fertility through serpent-related rituals. In Judaism and early Christianity, the serpent played a dual role. In the Garden of Eden, it symbolized temptation and the fall of man, while in the story of Moses, the bronze serpent was a source of healing. These cultures, despite their differences, shared a common reverence for serpents, hinting at ancient knowledge and power that transcends time. Some interpretations suggest that these myths reflect encounters with ancient reptilian beings, like the Anunnaki, advanced extraterrestrial entities that were said to have once inhabited Earth. Legends across these cultures also hint at the return of these beings, suggesting that their influence and knowledge may yet reconnect with humanity in the future.
Like I said, the reason that I created this channel is so I could actually just speak about the things that I've experienced. I'm going to just go through this video without putting a whole lot of emphasis on everything, but one of the very first experiences I had was of seeing a UFO when I was a kid. I was like 9 years old. I remember going outside, taking out the garbage, and I was, just before we go there, I was already a kid that was having dreams every night that were just keeping me up, and I couldn't sleep at all when I was a kid. I would see things, literally see things in my room. It was the scariest thing in the world. Like whatever I wanted, I guess, was in my mind, I would just see it in front of me. It doesn't make me crazy or anything. What I found out was during my family had a very rough, dysfunctional family, I guess. I just say dysfunctional family. But when me and my sister were very young, we were in 3rd grade, I think, and I was in 3rd, she was in 4th, and because of what was happening in the family, I guess Child Protective Services or something like that came to come pick us up, and they took us to get tested somewhere, and they were testing, I guess, our intelligence levels and things like that. You know, I know only now, I didn't know back then what it was. I thought, oh cool, they're asking us questions, we have to do like a test. I was like, this is great. I did it, finished it, they gave me another test, I did that, finished it, gave me another test, did that, finished it. So they brought me and my sister together, and I remember the gentleman and the woman that was there both speaking, saying, they asked, well, how did she do? I said, oh, her intelligence is average, and my sister's probably gonna be really pissed off that I said that. But when they said, how did he do? They said, we don't have a test high enough for him. His intelligence is off the charts. That's the words I heard as a kid. I'm sure that there are many people like me in the world. I'm not anybody that's unique in any way, except in my own individuality of my own perspectives. That's the only way I'm unique. I think that everybody has the same potential in this world, and I think that we're all at different stages, guys. That's all it is. But getting back to the story was that when I had seen that whatever that light was in the sky, I remember it moving up to the side, down, and back over again, making a full square, and then pow, shooting up into the sky at such a high speed. And even as a young child at the age of 9 years old, whatever I was at that time, I remember thinking to myself, there is nothing that I know of that can make those movements. No planes. Even at that age, I kind of understood the idea of physics somewhat, basic physics, the things that a child would know. And I was like, I don't remember seeing anything that we have that's capable of doing those maneuvers. And of course, as a child, I didn't use those words. I probably used a lot more funny words to describe it. But I was doing this amazing feat of movement, and it was fascinating. I remember as a child seeing that, but then I had other things that happened, and I'm just going to briefly go through this. Shortly after seeing that, I remember I had this is Brooklyn, New York, again, 1978, 79, somewhere. And I remember I was hanging out with a buddy of mine, and we were two young kids, and he goes, hey, let's jump on the back of the ice cream truck. And I was like, okay. So we both, like two, unintelligent kids, like Beavis and Butthead, jumped on the back of the ice cream truck. And I don't know if the guy knew that we were back there, but he sped up. My friend jumped off, and I hung on because I was scared. And he goes, hey, jump, man, jump. So I was like, okay, I jumped. The next thing I know, I remember just hitting my head really hard in the back of my head. Next thing I know, I was being woken up by people, and they're like, oh, man, we thought you were dead. And they're saying all this stuff, and I didn't think anything of it. I got up, I went home, right? And I think I know what happened here, but when I went home, my parents went out that night. Yes, they left me and my sister home alone that night. When we were home alone, I started getting these really bad headaches. Then I started bleeding through my nose, and I remember going over the sink in the bathroom and yelling to my sister, saying there's blood coming out of my nose, and she was terrified because there was so much blood just pouring out of my nose. And that same night, when they came and they saw that I had this they saw the blood in the sink. They said, what happened? And then they told her, my sister told my mother and my father, and they panicked. They were like, what's going on? But I never told them that what happened to me on the truck. I thought they would kill me if they found out that I had done something so stupid. And I remember I was feeling really sick that night. I remember going to bed, laying in bed, and falling asleep with pain. I remember getting up maybe a couple hours later or something, and my head was hurting me so bad I couldn't even think. It was just so painful. And I remember not being able to make any intelligible words. I was mumbling or something like that. Every time I tried to speak, it would come out like that. I remember that sounded like a zombie, basically. So, at that age, I didn't know what was going on. And I remember thinking, God, I feel like I'm dying. And I was a child. And my sisters had a bed in the same room towards the foot of my bed, towards the windows. Right across from me, towards this side, is where to my left was the door going into the hallway into my mother's and father's room, and the bathroom was between. So I remember thinking to myself, if I could just throw myself off the bed, they would hear me, and someone would come and get me. So I remember just crawling to the edge of the bed and just looking down, and it looked so far to me, but I couldn't even move my body, and I said, I have to throw myself off to get some attention here. And I threw myself off the bed, and you just heard thud, like just a sack of potatoes or dead weight just hitting the ground really loud. And then I went trying to scream. I remember this like sound that I made like a zombie. And the next thing I know, I hear my mother calling out. She comes in the room. She's like, what's wrong? And I said, I can't talk. And she touches me and she says, you're burning up. And she was a nurse at the time, or like something like that, dealing, or she'd taken nursing and stuff like that at the time. And I remember she was shocked at how hot my body was, the temperature. She got the thermometer put in my mouth. It was at 103 point something or somewhere around there. I never forgot the numbers. And she said that if this doesn't go down, they're gonna have to take me to the hospital, because also I'm not able to walk or talk or anything. She put I have to give her credit for this. She put me in the bathtub and turned the cold water on, just let it run on me for a while. And eventually she brought me back to my bed, and she laid down next to me in my bed and slept with me in her arms. I never forgot that. And this is where it gets strange, guys. I remember when I finally did fall asleep, remember I told you at the foot of the bed, the other half of the room was where both my sisters slept in one bed. That entire side of the room, I was in that side of the room, but it was a cave when I woke up. And I could see on the other side of the room, my half of the room, where my mother was sitting up with her eyes open, like she saw, like she's just like, looks like a zombie, her eyes open really big. And I remember just looking at her and looking around, seeing the cave that I'm in. I can't, it's like this invisible barrier there. I can't get through it, and some other stuff happened there as well. These beings were there trying to take me with them, and I said no, and I started fighting back. And they were like, he's hostile or something like that. He's violent. Don't, just let him go. And but they were still fighting. Some of them were still fighting to take me. And I remember my grandmother, who told me, anytime you feel like you're in trouble or something's going on, just pray to God. And I said, okay, well, who do I pray to? And this is really interesting. I said, who do I pray to? Do I pray to Jesus? And then I remember seeing in the Bible, I studied the Bible when I was a kid with my grandmother. And I said, wait a second, Jesus always talks about praying to his Father, who's God. So I said, that's who I'll pray to. So I started praying to God, Jesus' Father. And this light, or a being of light, showed up, and I looked at it, and I was scared, and it put its hand out towards me, and I went to put my hands out, and I hesitated. And then I looked at it, and I was like looking at the light being, and I'm like thinking, what is this? This is weird. But something showed up after I prayed. Is this God? And it looked at me and kind of smirked in this weird way, which is really strange. It looked highly intelligent, is what I'm saying. And it almost took what I said as a joke. Like, in other words, that it was probably a very human thing that I did to whatever that was assuming that it was God. And when it reached out its hand towards me, I grabbed its hand, just putting all my trust into it. I just did call on God. So I'm hoping and praying that this is something of that nature. And it walked me right through the invisible barrier. I remember that. And when I was holding on to its hand, and when I looked at my mother goes, what are you doing? And I said, you won't believe what just happened. I was stuck in this place, and this person or this thing got me out. I turned around to look, and it was gone. It was gone. I never forgot that. But that left an imprint in my mind. The first imprint, the first thing that it made me do was question, what was that invisible barrier? How did the room change like that? You remember, this is 1978, so we didn't know about technology like we do today, like simulated reality and even a potential holodeck and holographic technology, and how they can, with a neural interface, how they can manipulate the mind, and all these things that we're learning now. But I want you to keep in mind, guys, that even the technology that we have now is probably so primitive compared to what they have out there. And why do I say that? Because if there are, in fact, other worlds floating around, revolving around other suns that have been here billions of light years before us, that's a lot of time to develop. So we are probably in our infancy, we're probably still before infancy, in the process of becoming that. And there's just so much, guys. There's so much I want to tell you guys, and I want to share with you about this, because I feel that the reason this comes right back to why I also renamed my channel to When Life Has No Meaning and Dreams Define You. Why? Because my dreams have been defining my life. They've been predicting things in my life since I was a kid. And I even have medical documentation, if it's still there, and I have to find out of some of the tests they ran on me and how abnormal they showed up. Guys, look, I'm not the only one in the world like this. I'm sure there are other people out there like me, and I want you to think that all of us are special in some way, but these things do exist. Our dreams mean something. And as I go on with this channel and you know, share all the stuff with you guys, I hope that you guys really enjoy what I do. If you do, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe, and the the notification bell as well. I think those are the things that really help the channel grow. I won't be doing any more content on the police brutality or anything violent anymore. I realized that, you know, like I said, if you know my background, I had my arm, my leg, and my neck broken all on account of these people from what happened from 20 years ago after 9/11 when the cops did what they did to me. But I'm working through that. But I believe everything happens for a reason. There's nothing that in life, everything is spiritual, even though we think it's all physical. Physical seems to be the simulated reality, as they say, the Matrix. Spiritual seems to be the real essence of what we are and who we are. But guys, I will leave you with that. And remember, when life has no meaning and dreams define you, this is my channel. This is what I'm about. I'm TSP Rav Shiva, TSP, the spiritual philanthropist. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for listening. And if you have anything that you want to share, please put it on there. If you want to be interviewed on here, we can even do that and have a discussion, or send me something. I'll put up in the description an email where you guys can send me anything that you want, and we can communicate that way. Also, you can communicate with me on any one of my social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, or if you go on Facebook, is my biggest one. I have like 88,000 people follow me on Facebook, and not bragging, guys. That's nothing really in compared to what's going on out in the world. But if you see 88,000 and you see TSP Rav Shiva, that's me. That's how you'll know, because there's a lot of other people there's people out there that use other people's names and other people's likeness, and I've had to deal with this on a consistent basis, guys. So that's why I'm pointing this out to you, so you know the difference. Okay, I have that many followers on there. That's who I am. You'll see when life has no meaning and dreams define you. You'll see those eyes right there on the screen. Okay, and those are my eyes, guys. So please check out all my stuff and share your thoughts with me. Have a great and wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. All right?
A new government report is raising eyebrows across the country, especially among anyone interested in extraterrestrials. Our Alexandra Limon has the story.
Physicist and Harvard professor Avi Loeb says there's a possibility humans aren't the only civilization in the universe.
Whether we live in such a reality or not is not a philosophical question. We just have to look out.
Loeb teamed up with the Pentagon office that investigates unidentified aerial phenomenon, and they released this draft report that indicates it is possible that alien ships have already visited our solar system. Specifically, Loeb thinks the first interstellar object spotted passing through our solar system in 2017 that was given the name Oumuamua could be an extraterrestrial mothership. Loeb says Oumuamua didn't have the characteristics you'd find in meteors or other known objects.
So this is one of those things that when you look at it, you know, you've been seeing a lot of stuff in the news lately, and then a lot of strange things happening. It's not just me, but a whole lot of other people are doing these videos, and they're talking about this exact same thing. Now, only recently they showed these drones going over, I think, the Pentagon, over Washington, D.C. and stuff like that, these areas. And, you know, these are heavily guarded areas, guys. You know, it would be flying over that space without being taken down is a real trick. You know, I mean, it's almost considered impossible, especially if you're unidentified. As in this case, you know, they're considered what they were called before UFOs and now UAPs. So instead of unidentified flying objects, which you probably all are very privy to, these are unidentified aerial objects, because aerial in the sky, right? Now, Avi Loeb is, someone from the government himself that that works in the Department of Science and Physics, and then he's an astronomer as well. So just imagine this guy coming out and actually making this claim to the media. So these are the two things I look at here. There's I look at it like this: like he's working for the government, and he's kind of put there to give out propaganda of some sort, or maybe to prepare the people for the reality of what's coming. That's kind of what they do, actually. They put everything in the media first to present it to the public, on mass scales, and this way, whenever something happens, it's more acceptable. Kind of making it more palatable to the mind and to our, ability to reason. This is like the Twilight Zone, to the power of 2 million. It's just exponentially so much larger than anything we would have experienced in the past. And I love the Twilight Zone, by the way, guys. I'm a big Rod Serling fan, and I watch that religiously. But getting back to this, this is impressive, so I'm gonna keep putting up this stuff, and this is what I wanted to do originally, but I don't know if anybody cares, but I've just been through so much in my life, and on account of who I am and things that I think about and what I do, and it's just been too much. But this is giving me a chance to breathe a little bit and to enjoy life a little bit at the age of 54, after having basically my entire prime of my life taken away from me. But anyway, guys, I'm not going to be bitter about that. I'm going to be happy I'm still alive and still able to present the things that I've wanted to for so many years. I hope you guys enjoy. So sit back and relax, and let's watch the rest of this.
Consider a possibility where an object as big as Oumuamua, which was football field size, is a mothership.
He says the mothership could have released smaller ships or probes to study our solar system after spending a long time to get here.
With chemical rockets, it takes less than 1 billion years to traverse the entire Milky Way galaxy.
Loeb says if Oumuamua was a ship, there likely wasn't life on it. Instead, he believes it could have been operated by artificial intelligence.
An artificial intelligence system that stays dormant for that period and just gets activated when it comes close to its target.
So here's something else I found really fascinating, and everybody's been, or a lot of people have been posting that was in the area of Washington, D.C. about a strange crash landing. Now, the government also confirms that something happened. They had no choice because there was so much police presence there, and so many people posting about it. This is the one wonderful thing about being able to have a cell phone and camera and access to the internet, is that before they can dismiss anything, we can show proof. And I think that's probably become a real problem for the people that are trying to kind of get one over on us, pull the veil over our eyes, and I think this has become a real problem and a real issue for the government and whoever else is perpetrating anything that's like this at all. But who knows? This could be Project Bluebeam. We don't know. So it's fascinating. But let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what they have to say. I'm curious to know what your comments are, your feedback, what your perspective is as well, because I'll be talking a lot more about these things, and love to hear your feedback.
Huge trail, like something crash landed. What the heck is that? What is this? I wonder if there's anything on the news about this.
Yo, am I tripping right? Okay, so I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. Please tell me if anybody saw this. But I was coming back from the gym off of this back road outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're like the road and the trees and the sky opens up. What the I swear I saw giant sparks, like a plane, like maybe on fire, or like, I don't know, but it was like there was sparks across the sky, and it left like a huge like illuminated smoke trail like behind it for a long time. And then like 3 seconds later, the biggest aircraft I've ever seen in my life flies right over my truck, and it was completely silent, and it had like 4 flashing lights on it. What the fuck? And then now, like right outside, I'm here for work, living in a hotel, and right outside my hotel, there's like 4 black undercover police officers just like posted up at an intersection. I don't know what the did I just see? Someone please tell me they saw it. This happened like 5 minutes ago, and I can't find anything on it. There's like no sirens, like what the fuck?
I do not know.
I don't know what's currently going on in North Carolina, Washington, D.C., and like I said, in some of the comment sections of these videos, people are saying that they witnessed the same exact thing in Indiana as well. But there are absolutely no news updates as to any aircraft crashing in the area, whether it's a regular plane, a 747, or something else altogether. There's absolutely no news as of right now. But this actually reminds me of a video I had seen not too long ago where a couple of guys that were in their car driving, and they witnessed something bizarre in the sky. They were recording it, and then a couple states over, somebody else recorded the exact same thing, but these orbs or whatever they were circling this thing that was on fire. Check this out.
What the fuck is that? That's not a plane. It's a giant airplane. It's just circling around. And then it's disappearing. The lights are turning. It's stopping.
So guys, as you can see, there's something really going on here. I mean, I'm not too sure exactly what it is myself, but I'm kind of excited. I know everybody else is, this could be some sort of invasion. I mean, we're on the brink of war right now. I'm sure you guys have been keeping up with the Middle East, not just the Middle East, but Russia, China, North Korea, Taiwan. I mean, they've got some heavy hitters that are either aiming weapons at each other or have already taken strikes at each other. Now, there's been threats thrown around about nukes. Now, if you guys don't believe that we could be potentially in a situation where nukes would be, used, you haven't studied history, and I'm not saying that I'm not taking away from the fact of humanity and everybody wants good things to happen. At least I hope so. I'm looking at the reality of life. I'm saying that yes, we used it in Japan already, and we've also been using it for testing other different things, the United States and also the entire world. All the different countries have been, to their nuclear programs, testing their weapons and what they can do, and that's how they can make whatever configurations or things that they need to do to make them better strategically. But the thing that we have to realize here is that if there is an alien force or an intervention outside of what's happening right now, I mean, that would be phenomenal. I don't know if you guys remember who Ronald Reagan was. He was a president when I was very young, and he was also an actor, actually. And if anybody knows, they'll know who I'm talking about. But he once said that the only thing that would ever bring humanity together is if we had an alien threat, an outside threat to all of us, and then all of humanity would have to come together and fight. Now, the funny thing is that I personally think that the world is too divided, that even if we had an outside threat, we're just all so screwed up on this planet that it would have to be like Independence Day, where they take over the entire world. Then I can see that happening. But if it's just like here and there things happening, I don't, like small little things happening, I don't think that the world would come together, because we're also in a race. Everybody's trying to become the most technologically advanced, superior force on the planet. And it's a very iffy situation here that we're in. It's kind of like how, that term dog eats dog type of thing, who's got the juice, that type of thing. If you ever heard that phrase from the movie, back in the day, Boys in the Hood. So, this is gangster shit going on. I'm not going to lie. It's what it is. It's gangster shit on a much different level than we've ever seen. Because now, like I said, we've had players involved and nobody knows who they are, which I believe. I mean, if you study, if you looked at any of my videos or any of the videos online about aliens now, a lot of them, especially like Billy Carson and Zachariah Sitchin before him, and there have been others talking about the ancient Sumerians from Baghdad. What's coincidental that during the time of discovery of a lot of ancient artifacts of ancient Sumeria was when the United States went in there and invaded Iraq on false pretenses, which, you know, were then admitted by George Bush later on. You know, to go so far as to take down an entire country. And they also took whatever artifacts that they found there. And those artifacts may not be just like antiques, like sculptures and things like that. They may have found, because you remember, this is where the Anunnaki was. They talked about genetic manipulation and all those things. So of course, that would make sense. That would make sense. You know, if you know that there's a place where, you know, you have you can get access to because you have the power and the might to, and, you know, the force to be able to do it, you know, and you can just go in there and take it. Most governments would do that, you know. I mean, that's just a given. Now, what they do with that technology, if they have that technology, or if that technology has been dispersed around the planet, there could be a situation where different intelligent life could be working with other countries, and, you know, and setting us up all for failure here. You know, kind of like what, you know, I hate to say this, but what the British did back in the day when they wanted to take over land, they would divide and conquer. How would they divide? They would kind of put everyone against each other, let them kill each other off first, then come in and just take them all out. And that's kind of like how I look at all the Bibles that have been dropped here on the planet. This is nothing against religion. I'm just saying that what if there was such an intelligent, you know, group of I want to say aliens or life form or intelligent life forms or whatever that were out there, and they decided, hey, we're gonna manipulate you people so we don't have to do the work because we want to keep the planet, but if you guys kill each other off, we can still harness everything you've built and use it. I mean, that's basically kind of like what, you know, what they would do. It's like if you have, let's say, a mansion, a car, this and that, and a highly technologically advanced hookup, you know, set up at your house, at your mansion. Just take the guy out that's in the mansion, and you can have that to yourself. You know, it's like that's kind of like what the mentality may be. And I'm not the only one that's speculating. I think even Einstein himself, if I'm not mistaken, it was either him or someone else. It could have been Isaac Asimov, who's a great, the guy that wrote I, Robot, a great science fiction writer. But one of them said that if there was such a thing as I think Stephen Hawking may have mentioned this as well, that if there's a more advanced intelligence race, what do you think they would do? Look at what we did to the people that were primitive here on this planet. We went in, divided and conquered and taken over, right? So, you know, that's why I said there's a lot of things that people aren't looking at, and these things do baffle me. They go through my mind. They kind of scare me when I see what's going on. And before I keep going on, I can go on forever on this topic. It's one of my favorite topics from what happened to me. If you see my videos and you see what happened to me when I was a kid, you'll see why I'm so intrigued by all these things. You know, it's kind of similar to Billy Carson's incident. If you've seen Billy Carson and what happened to him, it's very similar to what happened to me. It made me question all my life, you know, how could this happen? I don't understand it, you know, and I need to find out. But all right, let's take a look at the next video and we'll see exactly what's going on here. All right, so hang tight, guys. Hey, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I'm really trying to make this detailed. I'm putting a lot of work and effort into it for you guys, and I'm so happy that I have so many subscribers now that are really, you know, tuning in. And I'm gonna be creating a lot more work for you guys. I'm taking all the time I can because I'm going through some things physically and mentally as well. There's a lot of things that I've lost in the last decade or so, and recently as well. But guys, you guys are helping me to feel better about myself, and this is something I've been repressing since I was a child because I was just too ashamed to bring it forward, especially if you knew my situation and why I had to hide all this stuff that was going through my mind and things that I've been through in my life. But I'm you know, displaying it for everyone here, and hopefully there are believers out there, you know, people that have experienced the same thing I have, and even if you haven't, you just believe, you know, and that's good enough. So guys, if you like what I do, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and also hit that notification bell. All these things will help the algorithm, help me gain more people to see what's going on and to hear my message as well. And guys, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.
In the annals of history, two great minds have left us with profound wisdom: Albert Einstein and Yeshua the Christ. Albert Einstein, the embodiment of scientific genius, gave us a perspective on the futile cycle of insanity, defining it as repeating the same act and expecting a different outcome. On the other hand, Yeshua the Christ, the beacon of spiritual enlightenment, taught us the golden rule of treating others as we wish to be treated. These two pieces of wisdom, though originating from contrasting realms of thought, are equally pertinent to our current times. They call for introspection, understanding, and action. Yet in the midst of this wisdom, we find ourselves at an intriguing crossroads. A point where the boundaries of illusion and reality are no longer distinct. A nexus point, if you will, where truth and fabrication intertwine and dance in unison. As we navigate through the sea of information, the lines between illusion and reality have begun to blur. In this age of constant information, we find ourselves at a unique crossroads, the nexus point where illusion and reality meet. This nexus, this intersection, is a fascinating concept, a place where truth and falsehood are so intertwined that they become indistinguishable. Now, imagine this point being manipulated, tweaked to serve a particular narrative, especially in the era of social media where perception often trumps reality. Here, the work of Professor James Sylvester Gates becomes pertinent. Gates, a renowned theoretical physicist, discovered an intriguing aspect of reality, an error-correcting code embedded into the very fabric of existence. It's akin to the codes in our web browsers that fill in missing pixels, completing the image. In the hands of the media, this nexus point becomes a tool, an error-correcting code that fills in the gaps of our perception, often with manipulated information. This nexus point, this juncture of illusion and reality, is where the battle for truth is being waged. I am the spiritual philanthropist, and my journey is to navigate this nexus point, to distinguish the illusion from the reality. This quest, akin to traversing a labyrinth of mirrors, demands a discerning eye and an open heart. In an era where information is abundant, yet often misleading, my pursuit is to reach the truth that exists beyond the illusion. The journey is both challenging and enlightening. It is a quest to understand the universe, yet more importantly, it is a journey inward, for within us lies the essence of truth. Unadulterated by the illusions of the external world, it is here in the heart of our being where the illusion dissipates and reality emerges. In this age of information, we must strive to become spiritual philanthropists, seekers of truth beyond the illusion. It is through genuine understanding and discernment that we can navigate the nexus point between illusion and reality. As we each embark on our own quests for truth, remember, the soul is essentially seeking itself. Here's a quote by the spiritual philanthropist to ponder upon. He once said, "The soul is essentially seeking itself." Think about that for a moment. It's not about seeking external validation or material wealth. It's about seeking our true selves, our innermost essence. It's an inward journey, a quest to uncover our own truth beyond the illusions of the external world. As we traverse the labyrinth of mirrors that is life, let's each embark on our own quests for truth. Remember, the journey may be challenging, but the discovery of our true selves is the ultimate enlightenment. The soul is essentially seeking itself. Let that sink in as we continue our exploration in the next segment.
Now, I'm going to casually mention to you something that's very scary indeed. Complete takeover of this planet, the killing off of 5, 6 to 7/8 of the world's population, and tell you what the alien agenda is.
We're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic. Pandemic is not a word to use lightly or carelessly. It's a word that, if misused, can cause unreasonable fear or unjustified acceptance that the fight is over, leading to unnecessary suffering and death.
because all aliens, regardless benevolent or otherwise, they're carrying germs and diseases and bacterium in and on them that are deadly to us. If I were making policy, I'd quarantine them all, because how do we not know that some of our diseases like AIDS, Ebola, hantavirus, and a few of these other weird designer diseases, as I call them, are not made from the cadavers of some of these aliens as a biological weapon to use against the people of these.
Coronavirus has multiple parts. Inside the virus lies the genetic encoding that allows the virus to hijack human cells and turn them into virus factories. A protein encapsulates the genetic material known as the viral envelope. On the surface of the viron are S and HE proteins. The structure of 2019 novel coronavirus is a mutation.
Welcome to Conduition. Here, we explore the mysteries of existence, blending science, spirituality, and human potential. Today's video is titled, Waters Above, Waters Below, the Eternal Bridge Between Spirit and Creation. We're diving deep into the cosmic connections between water, the Holy Spirit, and life. From water's origins in space to its sacred presence on Earth and within us. What is the deeper connection between water, spirit, and life? And how do ancient traditions, religious texts, and science converge on this shared theme? Throughout human history, water has been revered not merely as a resource, but as a spiritual and life-giving force. It represents the origins of life, purification, renewal, and transformation, from cosmic creation to personal rebirth, suggesting a profound correlation between the hot waters above and the waters below. This raises essential questions. How does water unify the physical and spiritual realms? How is this unity reflected in religious and scientific understanding? From cosmic waters to Earth's formation. In the scientific narrative, water preceded the Earth. Hydrogen, a product of the Big Bang, and oxygen, forged within stars, came together in molecular clouds to form water long before the solar system emerged. Water molecules were delivered to early Earth through comets and meteorites, marking the waters above in space that became waters below, Earth's oceans and rivers. These same waters are thought to have cradled the first forms of life, possibly in hydrothermal vents deep in the primordial seas. This notion aligns with ancient mythologies. In Sumerian traditions, the god Enki governed the Absu, the underground waters, providing life and fertility, much like how modern science traces life's origin to Earth's early oceans. Similarly, Egyptian cosmology begins with Nun, the primordial water, from which all creation, including gods in order, arose. Water, spirit, and the testimony of life. In the Bible, water is connected not only with life, but with the Holy Spirit and spiritual rebirth. John 3:5 highlights that one must be born of water and the Spirit to enter God's kingdom, signifying the inseparable relationship between physical purification and spiritual transformation. 1 John 5:6-10 emphasizes the unity of spirit, water, and blood as witnesses to divine truth, suggesting that through water flows life, through blood flows spirit, and through both flows transformation. In this way, water becomes both a medium of creation and spiritual renewal. Living water appears prominently in John 4:10-14, where Jesus offers eternal life through the living water of the Spirit, a promise of renewal that parallels Jeremiah's description of God as the spring of living water, forsaken by those who seek satisfaction in broken earthly cisterns. Jeremiah 2:13. These biblical passages echo ancient ideas that water serves as a connection between the divine and the earthly realms. Tirthas in Hinduism, where rivers like the Ganges serve as a bridge between heaven and earth, cleansing sins and liberating souls. Water as a symbol across cultures and rituals. Religious traditions worldwide view water as a bridge between worlds. In Hinduism, the Ganges is personified as goddess Ganga, descending from the heavens to purify souls, much like the Holy Spirit descending as living water in the New Testament. In Buddhism, water symbolizes impermanence and mindfulness. Its flowing nature reminds practitioners of life's transience while offering spiritual cleansing during rituals. These spiritual concepts align with scientific principles. Just as water enables biochemical reactions essential for life, spiritual traditions use water as a medium for transformation. Whether through Christian baptism, Hindu ablutions, or Buddhist offerings, water is central to rituals of rebirth, purification, and the sustaining of life. The waters above and waters below, a universal symbol. In Genesis 1:6-7, the waters above and below are separated to create the heavens and the earth. This division symbolizes the connection and tension between spiritual realms and material existence, a theme echoed in every corner of the human experience. The separation and reunion of these waters reflect the dual role of water in both sustaining physical life and offering spiritual renewal. Whether it is Enki's waters in Mesopotamian myths, the flooding Nile rejuvenating Egypt, or Ganga descending to cleanse souls, water symbolizes the unity of creation and transcendence. Modern science furthers this idea by demonstrating that water is not only the foundation of life on Earth, but also the focus of the search for extraterrestrial life. Just as the waters above, in space, may carry the potential for life beyond Earth, so too do the waters below, on Earth, sustain and renew all life forms. Conclusion: water as the flow between realms. Ultimately, the connection between water and the Holy Spirit, as well as water's significance across spiritual and scientific narratives, reveals a deeper truth. Water is both a physical element and a spiritual symbol of life, renewal, and unity. It flows through the cosmos, earth, and human experience, bridging the realms of the physical and the divine, testifying to the interconnectedness of all existence. Just as thoughts flow through silence, the Spirit moves through water, bearing witness to life's continuous transformation, from birth to rebirth, from separation to unity. This synthesis reminds us that the waters above and below, whether found in the cosmos, in mythology, or within our spiritual lives, are part of a greater whole. They converge to create, renew, and testify to life's sacred purpose. If you enjoy content that expands your mind and soul, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm recognize our channel, so more curious minds can discover these powerful topics. Let's build this journey together.
Accounts of gods and deities descending from the heavens in Sumerian texts. In numerous Sumerian texts, there are vivid descriptions of gods and deities descending from the heavens to interact with humanity. These divine beings are often depicted as powerful and otherworldly figures, possessing advanced knowledge and abilities beyond those of mortals. One of the most prominent examples is the Sumerian creation myth, which features the god Enlil descending from the heavens to separate heaven and earth and establish order in the universe. Similarly, the god Marduk is described as ascending to the heavens to battle the chaos monster Tiamat and establish his reign over the cosmos. In addition to creation myths, Sumerian texts also contain accounts of gods descending to earth to communicate with humans, impart wisdom, or intervene in human affairs. For instance, the god Enki is depicted as descending from the heavens to instruct humanity in various arts and sciences, including agriculture, craftsmanship, and writing. These accounts of gods descending from the heavens are often interpreted within the context of the ancient astronaut theory, which suggests that these divine beings may have been extraterrestrial visitors who imparted knowledge and guidance to early human civilizations. Proponents of this theory point to the advanced knowledge and technology attributed to these gods in Sumerian texts as evidence of their extraterrestrial origins. However, skeptics argue that these accounts are purely mythological and symbolic in nature, reflecting the religious beliefs and cultural practices of ancient Sumerians, rather than actual encounters with extraterrestrial beings. They suggest that the gods described in Sumerian texts are anthropomorphic representations of natural forces or abstract concepts, rather than literal beings from another world. Regardless of interpretation, the accounts of gods descending from the heavens in Sumerian texts continue to intrigue scholars and enthusiasts alike, prompting ongoing debate and speculation about their true meaning and significance in the context of human history.
Deities in ancient Mesopotamia were believed to possess extraordinary powers and were mostly anthropomorphic, meaning they were portrayed as having human-like form. They were envisioned as being of great size and were depicted wearing melon, which was an ambiguous substance that covered them in terrifying splendor. The melon was also worn by heroes, kings, giants, and demons, and seeing a deity's melon was said to cause a physical creeping of the flesh. The effect was described using words such as puluchu, meaning fear. Deities were usually depicted wearing horned caps consisting of up to 7 superimposed pairs of ox horns, and were also sometimes portrayed wearing clothes adorned with decorative gold and silver ornaments. The ancient Mesopotamians believed that the gods lived in heaven, but that the statue of a god was a physical embodiment of the deity itself. As such, cult statues were given constant care and attention and were tended to by priests who would clothe the statues and place feasts before them so the deity could eat. The deity's temple was believed to be the god's literal place of residence, and the gods were believed to have boats and chariots to transport their statues during religious festivals and battles. The major deities of the Mesopotamian pantheon were believed to participate in the assembly of the gods through which they made decisions, and were seen as a divine counterpart to the legislative system of the Third Dynasty of Ur. The Mesopotamian pantheon evolved over time, and the history of Mesopotamian religion can be divided into 4 phases. During the first phase, starting in the 4th millennium BC, the gods focused mainly on basic needs for human survival. In the second phase, which occurred in the 3rd millennium BC, the divine hierarchy became more structured, and deified kings began to enter the pantheon. During the third phase, in the 2nd millennium BC, the gods associated with individuals and commoners became more prevalent. In the 4th and final phase, in the 1st millennium BC, the gods became closely associated with specific human empires and rulers. Over 3,000 names of Mesopotamian deities have been recorded, many from lists of gods compiled by ancient scribes. Various terms were used to describe groups of deities, including Annunaki, which referred to the major deities of heaven and earth, and Igigi, which referred to the great gods. However, no distinct cult of Annunaki has yet been discovered, as each deity considered part of the Anunnaki had their own individual cult. Similarly, no depictions of Anunnaki as a distinct group have been discovered, although depictions of individual members have been identified. Anu, originally known as An in Sumerian, was considered the supreme deity and the driving force behind creation. He was embodied by the sky and was believed to be the god of heaven in its transcendental state. In some religious systems, all gods were considered to be the offspring of Anu and his consort, Ki. However, in other texts, Anu was depicted as the descendant of various primordial beings, and Enlil was often portrayed with his own separate family tree. Despite being considered the utmost god, by the time of the earliest written records, the main god in terms of worship was actually Enlil. As a result, Anu's supremacy was largely nominal. A multicolored stone known as Luludenichu, which was red, white, and black, was associated with Anu. Thank you for watching our video, and if you truly enjoyed it, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications of our latest content. Welcome to Mystical Technology. Who is the god of all magic? Heka is the god of magic and medicine in ancient Egypt and is also the personification of magic itself. He is probably the most important god in Egyptian mythology, but is often overlooked because his presence was so pervasive as to make him almost invisible to the Egyptologists of the 19th and 20th centuries CE. Angisha was a goddess among the Marsi, the Paelignai, and other Oscan-Umbrian peoples of central Italy. She was associated in antiquity with snake charmers who claimed her as their ancestor. Roman interpretations probably obscure her Marsian significance. Who is the god of all witches? The divine couple in Wicca, with the lady as Hecate, the witchcraft goddess, and the lord as Pan, the horned god of the wild earth. The lower figure is Mercury or Hermes, the god or divine force of magic, as shown by his wings, and Caduceus. Who is the god of wisdom and magic? Thoth is the Egyptian god of writing, magic, wisdom, and the moon. He was one of the most important gods of ancient Egypt, alternately said to be self-created or born of the seed of Horus from the forehead of Set. Who is the goddess of witchcraft? Hecate. As a goddess of witchcraft, Hecate has been incorporated in various systems of modern witchcraft, Wicca, and neo-paganism. In some cases associated with the wild hunt of Germanic tradition, in others as part of a reconstruction of specifically Greek polytheism, in English also known as Hellenismos. Who is the Norse god of magic? Odin, third chief of the Aesir, god of wisdom, magic, divination, death, war, and poetry. Who is the god of wizards? Azuth, pronounced Azuth, also known as the Lord of Spells and the God of Wizards, was a lesser deity who concerned himself with the advancement and preservation of the magical arts. Doulos. In Greek mythology, Doulos or Dolos, ancient Greek, delta lambda omicron sigma deception, is the spirit of trickery. He is also a master at cunning deception, craftiness, and treachery. Doulos is an apprentice of the Titan Prometheus and a companion of the Sudea, lies. What is Loki's magic called? Asgardian magic. Illusion manipulation. Loki and Frigga can generate holographic images used to create illusions. They have both used this ability to either make decoys of themselves or another person, or to project themselves into another location to speak to someone, similarly to astral projection. What is Viking magic called? In Old Norse, Seither, sometimes anglicized as Ser, Seder, Seither, Seith, or Zeit, was a type of magic which was practiced in Norse society during the late Scandinavian Iron Age. The practice of Seither is believed to be a form of magic which is related to both the telling and the shaping of the future. What is a mage god? Mage gods are typically those with ranged attacks that utilize magical power to boost the potency of their basic attacks and abilities. What is a Greek wizard called? Pervasive throughout the Eastern Mediterranean and Western Asia until late antiquity and beyond, Magus. Magian or magician, was influenced by, and eventually displaced, Greek gos, gamma eta sigma, the older word for a practitioner of magic, to include astrology, alchemy and other forms of esoteric knowledge. Who is the elf god? Corellon is the creator and preserver of the elven race, and governs those things held in the highest esteem among elves. Corellon's symbol was originally a crescent moon, In the 4th edition, Corellan's symbol is a silver star on a blue field. Who was the darkest god? Erebus. Erebus, the primeval god of darkness. Like the other protogenoi, he was elemental, being the substance of darkness, rather than a man-shaped god. Who is the goddess of chaos? Eris. Eris, the Greek goddess of chaos. What is this? Family, either the daughter of Zeus and Hera or the daughter of Nyx, depending on the legend. She birthed 14 children, including a son named Strife. Who is the most wicked god? Lamashtu, worst of the Mesopotamian evil gods. Coming in at number 1 above all other evil gods is the Mesopotamian goddess demoness Lamashtu, the most terrible of all the female demons. I truly hope that you enjoyed our video, and if you would like to see more content like this, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Remember, the truth is out there.
Welcome to Dark Theory Inc. This is Rav Theory, and today we're going to talk a bit about quantum computing. So if you're not up to date with it, I suggest you go to a video with Geordie Rose. Geordie Rose, who is the founder of D-Wave, one of the pioneers of quantum computing. He did a really interesting speech, and I'll post the link in the description. You can check that out yourself. And as a pioneer in the technologically advanced time that we're in, and his invention or one of the patents on the quantum computer by Geordie Rose, he himself uses these words to describe what it's like working with or on a quantum computer and standing in front of it. His words are, it's like the altar to an alien god. Now, those are very strong words. Also, he talks about the ability to tap into other resources. He uses the words parallel universe, which is something also to speculate on. You know, this is a guy that's very, very good at what he does, and he invented something that's taking us leap years into the future. It's a quantum leap into the future with the quantum computer. So just think about the whole idea that this guy's using these words. He's saying basically what we're doing is magic. He says, you know, we put the information in there and it comes back to us. He says we get the information back, but we're not sure exactly who or where we're getting it from. And that's why he says that we're tapping into parallel universes, which is really fascinating. It gives a lot of credibility to string theory and other parallel multiverses theories. And like I said, these are, you know, guys that work with theoretical physicists, and you know, they're at that caliber of understanding of the universe. So for him to make all these comments and to talk about these things, it's fascinating. It's extremely fascinating. You know, people don't want to talk about the Mandela effect because some people have just made it ridiculous at this point, but there is something to talk about. There are things that I remember that just didn't make any sense. You know, I've done a video on it before when it first happened to me. It wasn't that I saw anything, it just happened to me, and I happened to see a video on YouTube about it later on, and I didn't realize it happened until I saw the video. So these things do exist. You cannot put them aside and, you know, just cast them in the wastebasket or categorize them as insane, crazy, or doesn't make any sense. You know, a lot of the things that Nikola Tesla and Einstein spoke about, they talked about the times where they came up with their best innovations, and it was during times of rest and dreaming where the imagination was being used more than anything else. So the reason I emphasize this all the time is I come from a yogic background. I've been practicing yoga since I was 9. I've been practicing for 40 years. I lived in an ashram at upstate New York and called Ananda Ashram, and had an amazing experience in meditation, and ever since then, it's really helped my mind to focus even more than it already does, but to focus on the right things. But what really brought me into these things is when I was very young, when I was 8 years old. So I had an experience that I still can't understand up to this day, but the only thing that comes close to it, aside from the whole demons, obsessions, and all this other stuff, is that there is something about science that can explain it, especially when I watch Star Trek and all these shows with the holodeck. Literally what happened to me was like my entire bedroom, half of it changed. Half of it was something else, and the other half was part of my bedroom, and I couldn't figure it out. It was such a weird thing as a kid of 8 years old or 9 to be able to see and experience. So it was like, I guess you could say it was, if people have acid trips and things like that where they hallucinate, that maybe I've never hallucinated like that, but I can imagine this must be what it feels like. It's scary as hell because you have no control of what's going on around you. You're kind of there just witnessing it all. But you'll hear about that in another video where I may actually animate this. When I say animate, I'm going to do all the drawings myself and just put the drawings up as a storyboard for you. So I'm seeming to be able to do that more and more, and hoping my arms and I have a spinal cord defect from birth, so I kind of work with it as I go. So bear with me as I take time and do these things for you guys. I've been having a blast doing this, and I hope that you guys are too. And you have any questions, comments, please definitely ask me and leave some comments there. Also, please subscribe. You're gonna hit the like button, but as well you're gonna hit the bell, because that's gonna ensure that you get all my videos. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe. Please be kind to animals.
The Anunnaki stand out as a compelling enigma, sparking intrigue and speculation about their possible role as ancient alien visitors to Earth. This exploration delves into the fascinating narrative surrounding the Anunnaki, examining the evidence and theories that...
Welcome back to Dark Theory Inc., where we unravel the secrets of the mystical and the mysterious. Today, we're diving into a power that might sound like something straight out of a superhero comic: Anima, one of the legendary 8 siddhis of ancient yogic tradition. Imagine having the ability to shrink yourself down to the size of an atom, just like Ant-Man in the Avengers. But this isn't the work of advanced technology. This is pure, spiritual power. Anima is said to grant advanced yogis the ability to reduce their physical form to the tiniest particle, allowing them to become invisible, undetectable, and to navigate through spaces that would normally be impossible to access. Think about how Ant-Man uses his suit to shrink to microscopic sizes, slipping through cracks, and even entering the quantum realm. With Anima, a yogi could achieve something similar, but without the need for any technology. They wouldn't just shrink. They'd become so small that they could slip into the very fabric of matter itself, phasing through solid objects like they weren't even there. But Anima goes beyond what you see in the comics. While Ant-Man's powers come from Pym particles and science, Anima is a reflection of something much deeper: a mastery over the self and the physical world. By shrinking down to this infinitesimal size, the yogi isn't just avoiding detection or gaining access to hidden places. They're letting go of the ego, dissolving into the very essence of existence, and realizing that the boundaries of the physical world are just illusions. In many ways, Ant-Man's suit is a modern metaphor for what ancient yogis believed was possible through intense spiritual practice. In Hindu mythology, beings like the monkey god Hanuman are said to have used Anima to perform incredible feats, such as entering fortified cities unnoticed. But unlike the comic book hero, who relies on a suit, these sages relied on their mastery over the mind and spirit. And while Ant-Man might use his powers to fight villains or save the world, the purpose of Anima is much more profound. It's not about gaining power or achieving fame. It's about transcending the material world, understanding the deepest truths of existence, and moving closer to enlightenment. So next time you're watching an Avengers movie or flipping through a comic, remember that the idea of shrinking down to the size of an atom isn't just science fiction. It's also a concept rooted in ancient mysticism, a power that represents not just control over the physical world, but a deep, spiritual journey. If you enjoyed this exploration into the mystical side of superpowers, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and as always, stay curious.
Welcome to Mystical Technology. One of the larger Sumerian cities may have had 80,000 residents. The beginning of the Sumerian civilization in Mesopotamia is still a topic of discussion. However, archaeological findings suggest that they formed around a dozen city-states by the year 4000 BC. These city-states typically comprised of a walled central city dominated by a ziggurat, the pyramidal temples that represented the Sumerian religion. Homes were made of either marsh reeds or mud bricks, and extensive irrigation systems were created to utilize the fertile waters of the Tigris and Euphrates for agriculture. Prominent Sumerian city-states included Eridu, Nippur, Lagash, and Kish, but the largest and most established among them was Uruk, a thriving trading center that was enclosed by 6 miles of defensive walls and had a population of 40,000 to 80,000 at its peak around 2800 BC, making it most likely the biggest city in the world at the time. The list of Sumerian rulers includes one woman. One of the greatest sources of information on ancient Mesopotamia is the so-called King List, a clay tablet that documents the names of most of the ancient rulers of Sumer as well as the lengths of their reigns. The list is a strange blend of historical fact and myth. One early king is said to have lived for 43,200 years, but it also includes Sumer's lone female monarch in the form of Kubaba, a woman tavern keeper who supposedly took the throne in the city-state of Kish sometime around 2500 BC. Very little is known about Kubaba's reign or how she came to power, but the list credits her with making firm the foundations of Kish and forging a dynasty that lasted 100 years. Thank you for watching our video, and if you truly enjoyed it, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications of our latest content. The Sumerian city-states were often at war with one another. Even though they shared a common language and cultural traditions, the Sumerian city-states engaged in near-constant wars that resulted in several different dynasties and kingships. The first of these conflicts known to history concerns King Enatum of Lagash, who defeated the rival city-state of Umma in a border dispute sometime around 2450 BC. To commemorate his victory, Enatum constructed the so-called Stele of the Vultures, a grisly limestone monument that depicts birds feasting on the flesh of his fallen enemies. Under Enatum, Lagash went on to conquer the whole of Sumer, but it was just one of several city-states that held sway over Mesopotamia during its history. The infighting led to several military advancements. The Sumerians may have invented the phalanx formation and siege warfare, but it also left them vulnerable to invasions by outside forces. During the latter stages of their history, they were attacked or conquered by the Elamites, Akkadians, and Kshuns. 4. The Sumerians were famously fond of beer. Along with inventing writing, the plough, law codes and literature, the Sumerians are also remembered as some of history's original brewers. Archaeologists have found evidence of Mesopotamian beer making dating back to the 4th millennium BC. The brewing techniques they used are still a mystery, but their preferred ale seems to have been a barley-based concoction so thick that it had to be sipped through a special kind of filtration straw. The Sumerians prized their beer for its nutrient-rich ingredients and hailed it as the key to a joyful heart and a contented liver. There was even a Sumerian goddess of brewing called Ninkosi, who is celebrated in a famous hymn as the one who waters the malt set on the ground. 5. Cuneiform writing was used for over 3,000 years. The Sumerian invention of cuneiform, a Latin term literally meaning wedge-shaped, dates to sometime around 3400 BC in its most sophisticated form. It consisted of several hundred characters that ancient scribes used to write words or syllables on wet clay tablets with a reed stylus. The tablets were then baked or left in the sun to harden. The Sumerians seem to have first developed cuneiform for the mundane purposes of keeping accounts and records of business transactions, but over time it blossomed into a full-fledged writing system used for everything from poetry and history to law codes and literature. Since the script could be adapted to multiple languages, it was later used over the course of several millennia by more than a dozen different cultures. In fact, archaeologists have found evidence that Near East astronomical texts were still being written in cuneiform as recently as the 1st century AD. 6. The Sumerians were well-traveled trade merchants. A detail from the so-called Standard of Ur, Side B. This panel shows a banquet, perhaps after a victory, and men driving cattle and sheep. Since their homeland was largely devoid of timber, stone and minerals, the Sumerians were forced to create one of history's earliest trade networks over both land and sea. Their most important commercial partner may have been the island of Dilmun, present-day Bahrain, which held a monopoly on the copper trade, but their merchants also undertook months-long journeys to Anatolia and Lebanon to gather cedarwood, and to Oman and the Indus Valley for gold and gemstones. The Sumerians were particularly fond of lapis lazuli, a blue-colored precious stone used in art and jewelry, and there is evidence that they may have roamed as far as Afghanistan to get it. Historians have also suggested that Sumerian references to two ancient trading lands known as Magan and Melua may refer to Egypt and Ethiopia. 7. The hero of the Epic of Gilgamesh was probably a real Sumerian historical figure. One of the crowning achievements of Mesopotamian literature is the Epic of Gilgamesh, a 3,000-line poem that follows the adventures of a Sumerian king as he battles a forest monster and quests after the secret of eternal life. While the poem's hero is a demigod with Hercules-like strength, most scholars believe he is based on an actual king who served as the 5th ruler of the city of Uruk. The historical Gilgamesh appears on the Sumerian king list and is thought to have lived sometime around 2700 BC. Few contemporary accounts of his reign have survived to today, but archaeologists have found inscriptions that credit him with building Uruk's massive defensive walls and restoring a temple to the goddess Ninhil, which suggests he may have been a real ruler whose deeds were later repurposed as myth. 8. Sumerian mathematics and measurements are still used today. The origins of the 60-second minute and 60-minute hour can be traced all the way back to ancient Mesopotamia. In the same way that modern mathematics is a decimal system based on the number 10, the Sumerians mainly used a sexagesimal structure that was based around groupings of 60. This easily divisible number system was later adopted by the ancient Babylonians, who used it to make astronomical calculations on the lengths of the months and the year. Base 60 eventually fell out of use, but its legacy still lives on in the measurements of the both hour and the minute. Other remnants of the Sumerian sexagesimal system have survived in the form of spatial measurements such as the 360 degrees in a circle and the 12 inches in a foot. 9. Sumerian culture was lost to history until the 19th century. After Mesopotamia was occupied by the Amorites and Babylonians in the early 2nd millennium BC, the Sumerians gradually lost their cultural identity and ceased to exist as a political force. All knowledge of their history, language and technology, even their name, was eventually forgotten. Their secrets remained buried in the deserts of Iraq until the 19th century, when French and British archaeologists finally stumbled upon Sumerian artifacts while hunting for evidence of the ancient Assyrians. Scholars such as Henry Rawlinson, Edward Hincks, Julius Oppert and Paul Haupt later took the lead in deciphering the Sumerian language and cuneiform, providing historians with their first-ever glimpse of the long-lost history and literature of early Mesopotamia. Since then, archaeologists have recovered numerous pieces of Sumerian art, pottery and sculpture, as well as some 500,000 clay tablets, the vast majority of which have still yet to be translated. Welcome to Dark Theory Incorporated. The ancient astronaut hypothesis states that extraterrestrial intelligence, ETI, visited Earth in ancient times, influencing human evolution and knowledge, religion, and culture. Some proponents claim that ET built structures on Earth, such as pyramids and Moai heads, or aided in their construction. The evidence cited includes alleged anachronistic artifacts and artwork, but scholars argue that gaps in knowledge are not evidence of ET, and advocates have not provided convincing evidence. Critics, such as astrophysicist Carl Sagan, have said that alternative explanations or errors in reporting are more likely. Erich von Däniken is a Swiss author and proponent of the ancient astronaut hypothesis, which holds that ancient cultures, such as the Maya, were visited and influenced by extraterrestrial beings. He gained widespread fame and popularity in the late 1960s and early 1970s through the publication of his best-selling book, Chariots of the Gods, and its sequels. Von Däniken's hypotheses center around the idea that certain ancient artifacts and structures, such as Stonehenge, Puma Punku, the Moai of Easter Island, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and the ancient Baghdad electric batteries, were constructed using a level of technology that was not available to the cultures that constructed them. He argues that these artifacts were either directly constructed by extraterrestrial visitors or by humans who learned the necessary knowledge from said visitors. Additionally, von Däniken points to ancient art and iconography from cultures all over the world as evidence for the presence of extraterrestrial beings in ancient times. He claims that these depictions of air and space vehicles, non-human but intelligent creatures, and artifacts of an anachronistically advanced technology, are evidence of ancient astronaut activity. He also notes that geographically separated historical cultures share artistic themes, which he argues imply a common origin. Von Däniken also claims that the origins of many religions can be attributed to encounters with alien races. He argues that ancient humans considered the technology of these aliens to be supernatural and the aliens themselves to be gods. He points to various religious texts, such as Ezekiel's revelation in the Old Testament, as evidence for this, interpreting them as descriptions of landing spacecraft. However, von Däniken's theories have been widely criticized by experts in the fields of archaeology, anthropology, and history. Critics argue that von Däniken misrepresented data, that many of his claims were unfounded, and that none of his core claims have been validated. In particular, Christian creationists and young Earth creationists have been highly critical of most of von Däniken's work, with some authors publishing works specifically aimed at discrediting his claims. In 1970, von Däniken himself admitted that the Nazca markings, which he had previously claimed were evidence of ancient alien activity, could have been laid out on their gigantic scale by working from a model using a system of coordinates. This admission calls into question the validity of his other claims, as it suggests that he may be interpreting ancient artifacts and structures through the lens of his preconceived beliefs rather than through a critical, evidence-based approach. It is important to note that von Däniken's theories are considered pseudoscience and has been debunked by mainstream scholars, and not accepted by scientific community. While some of his claims may be intriguing and thought-provoking, it is crucial to approach them with a healthy dose of skepticism and to critically evaluate the evidence he presents. If you truly enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, please hit the like, share and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell to stay up to date with our latest video. Remember, the truth is out there.
Welcome, this is Dark Theory Inc. This is Rav Theory, your host. A human being is part of a whole, called by us universe, a part, limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein always impressed me because in this quote that he has, he's basically talking about being self-realized, and also realizing that we're caught in this body, in this, he calls it delusion. In the ancient philosophy of India, they call it illusion, right? And Maya. It's very interesting because he even talks about Jiva Mukti, which is liberation of the self, which is really amazing. And he's a physicist, so it very much impresses upon me this how wonderful and great this man actually was. And in this video, we're going to talk about Vimanas. I wanted to put that in the beginning because Vimanas brings up the idea of extraterrestrials and UFOs, and you have to really think outside the box for a lot of people. For me, when I think even Einstein himself knows or knew that the universe was vast, you know, and in order for us to really explore the universe, it's almost expanding beyond our own Earth, which is part of ourselves, all right? So that's my relation to it. The Sanskrit word Vimana literally means measuring out, traversing, or having been measured out. Monair Williams defines Vimana as a car or a chariot of the gods, any self-moving aerial car, sometimes serving as a seat or throne, sometimes self-moving and carrying its occupant through the air. So in India, they actually found old ancient manuscripts that depict and show how to build these things. And of course, the government's not going to give that out to the public, you know, in its entirety. They're probably going to put pieces of it out there so people can, you know, maybe imagine and think what the possibilities are. But these things are amazing. I mean, all the ancient stories, especially the Mahabharata, you know, they talk about these UFOs and they use them in battle, which was interesting. You know, and that's the part that fascinates me the most. Like today, we've been seeing in the news a lot, you know, in 2020 to 2021, they've been talking about UFOs, and they even acknowledged UFOs recently. They're not acknowledging Vimanas, actually, and that's what they are. So these UFOs and spaceships and whatever they are have been around for thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, millions of years. And the universe is 14 billion years old, so we don't know how long this has actually been. But in the Mahabharata, which, you know, Arjuna and Krishna were on the battlefield, they talk about these things, you know. It's really fascinating. But in the times that we're living in now and the advent of artificial intelligence and technology, God knows what's really going to happen now. It almost makes you wonder, like the Matrix, the Terminator, if these things actually do exist, you know, and that's the illusion, like in the Matrix. I mean, that movie did fascinate me. But hey guys, if you haven't checked out my comic book, it's Truth is Stranger Than Fiction by Rob Theory, me. Check it out on Amazon, okay? It's there. This is Dark Theory Inc. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you really liked what you saw, please subscribe. You know, just hit the button there if you want. No, do it because I said to do it. Just kidding. Make sure if you want to get all the episodes, just click on that little bell and that'll give you notifications. Please be kind to animals, because animals only show love and affection if you give them love and affection, just like people. And I love animals so much that I don't eat them. So I'm not saying that you have to do that or anything. But guys, see you in the next video. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Rob Theory and this is Dark Theory Inc. Today we're going to talk about Vimanas, and the picture you see is really a documented version of it, and it was published in India, and they think that these Vimanas were UFOs. So we're going to look deeper into the idea of these being UFOs. I mean, they say they were flying machines, and if you think, you know, you're going back thousands of years into the illustrious history and culture of India, and they have these big structures set up. As a matter of fact, some of these structures that were set up were called Vimanas, and they said the gods were able to travel through these things from one place to another, almost at light speed or even faster. I don't know if there were teleportation or it could have been UFOs, and I'm assuming that they probably, if they had this kind of technology, they probably maybe had both technologies. The ability to travel through time may also have been a part of it, because even in the ancient books of India, the Vedas, Rig Vedas, Athara Veda, Sama Veda, all these ancient books, they have all these ideas already being spoken about thousands of years ago. So you have to ask yourself, what's really going on that slowly, little by little, we're getting a trickle of this technology, and they're slowly implementing it into society. But since we live in a world where everything is based on the economy, they're letting it out little by little instead of bringing it out all at once. And I think Elon Musk himself said if they were to ever actually allow this technology out to the public, and we have that type of technology, that it would destroy all the other businesses, like the oil and fossil fuels and this type of thing, and it would destroy all of these types of energy sources, because we'd have an unlimited supply. So I wanted to talk about the reason I brought up Vimanas is that, you remember in the earlier video that I did on Wernher von Braun, who was one of the best, or if not the best physicist dealing with rocketry that America took in after the defeat of the Nazis. Well, he said some things that were very interesting. As a matter of fact, his assistant, that was Dr. Carol Rosen, she herself said that Dr. von Braun kept talking about these things that were going to happen in the near future, and he spoke of all these different events that would change the way that we actually live. And it's exciting, but yet it's at the same time it's a bit scary, because we're talking about technology from an advanced civilization, and then Wernher von Braun says a whole lot of things. If you haven't seen my video, you can go back and check the videos that I've had in the past, and it'll bring you up to date with what's going on. Again, if you really enjoy my videos, I would appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. That helps me out quite a great deal. If you want to see every video that comes out, definitely hit the bell. The bell's important because that's a notification that they have. Stay safe, guys, and I hope to see you in the next video. Be kind to animals.
most complex object known in the universe is the human brain. These 86 billion neurons have given us the power to transform our planet. But is this the best nature can do? We now know there are something like 10 billion trillion habitable planets in the universe. 10 billion trillion chances for the brain to be eclipsed by something else. The search for intelligent life is more than just a scientific curiosity. It's driven by a deep desire to connect with something greater. Finding an alien civilization wouldn't just reveal we're not alone. It could chart a new course of evolution for our species. And unlike primitive life, alien intelligence could be detectable thousands of light years away, making them potentially easier to find. What do they know that we don't? And how do we make contact? We're not the first to wonder. Years ago, we dreamed of lighting huge rings of fire in the Sahara Desert to signal our presence. And in the 1860s, a French poet proposed a patchwork of giant mirrors reflecting sunlight to Mars in the form of the Big Dipper. But if you want to send a signal across an ocean of space, bonfires and reflected sunlight won't help you much. Even a nuclear war on a nearby planet would be virtually impossible to detect with current technology. To really get your message across, you need a form of light you can't even see. Radio waves are ideal for carrying information long distance because compared to other forms of light, they travel more freely through interstellar gas and dust. That's why SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has focused almost entirely on scanning for radio signals, whether intentional messages or byproducts of technology. Our own radio transmissions have now traveled 100 light years and reached 75 star systems, some of which include potentially habitable planets. And if alien intelligence lies beyond this bubble of signals, they could still infer life on Earth by spotting oxygen in our atmosphere. Thanks to the SETI Institute and the recent Breakthrough Listen project, we have now scanned tens of millions of stars for signals. But despite all this, after 6 decades of searching, nothing. Only a series of false alarms and dead-end leads. We call it the Great Silence. But in reality, the search has barely